Hello, can you hear me? I can't hear you. Emmanuel?
I heard that the impact of the COVID-19 experience on us has been grave, and then lots and thousands of jobs have been lost. Now the question comes, what is the prospect for those who are job seekers? I mean, for those who have a job right now, the uncertainty is very high, the volatility in the work environment is really high. State of unemployment will increase, or do you think some of these skills that you've listed are particularly going to push them ahead and provide them with opportunities to get a job? So I want to get your reaction to these uncertainties with those who do not even have a job right now, who pre-COVID-19 have had very tough experience getting a job. What do you think is the ray of hope for them?
Good, thank you. That's a very, very interesting question, Emmanuel. So I'll speak on the people that are already in different jobs right now. First of all, so I'll speak on that. So the first thing, if you're already working and you're working with a firm or with a company, the first thing you need to do for yourself right now is to reassess your relevance in that company. Very important. You need to reassess your relevance in the company. Now, how do you reassess your relevance, or how do you understand your relevance? First thing is you need to know what is the core value of this business. What exactly does this business stand for? That's number one. Number two, where is the money? What do we do in this business that gives us the money? Now, this is a very interesting thing, right? It's a very interesting mindset, because I have interacted with a lot of employees for a long time, and I realized that 90% of employees do not think that way. It's just 10% of the employees that actually think that way. Most of the people that think that way are people that probably are in the management team or people that are in the sales team. But as an individual now, irrespective of whatever thing you're doing in any particular company, you need to reassess your relevance. It is important, because that's the only thing that will give you that confidence. That's the only thing that will give you, that will remove the volatility. That is the only thing that would ensure that you're not laid off. That's the only thing that would confirm that you're relevant to the firm. So when you are able to identify all of those things, now trace it back to what you're doing at the moment and ask yourself, what more can I do to remain relevant? So let's say, for instance, you work in, let's say you work in a logistics company, right? Now, logistics is becoming a huge thing right now. Logistics is like a lot of all these delivery, like a lot of them popping up right now, and they are making a lot of money. If, let's say, for instance, you used to work in the customer service, or maybe not customer service, maybe front desk. Fantastic. Maybe you're a front desk person, right, in the logistics company. Now COVID has happened. Everybody's working from home, right? So what does that mean? What that means is that your job has become irrelevant to a certain extent. Why? You're a front desk person. Your relevance before COVID was to meet people. You are the first contact. You are the first person they see in the office before they see other people. Now, people are not working. People have not been to physical workspace for almost 2 months. So what do you do in that situation, right? Simple. The first thing is ask yourself, I work in a logistics business. It means that there's going to be the core value of the logistics business is service delivery. So you ask yourself, what more can I do to become relevant here? And the best thing is, look, talk to your line manager. Please, I would like to go and join the customer service team or the customer experience team, right? Now, with that alone, with that singular action, you have connected yourself back into the core of the business, and you have made yourself more relevant, right? Why? So as a customer service person, because of course, service orders, service delivery, service order and service delivery tracking is now online, you are still relevant to the core of the business, right? Rather than you just sticking to the fact that, oh, I'm a front desk person now, and I'm going to remain as a front desk person. trust me, in another 1 month you will be let go because you have become very irrelevant, right? So and that is just an example. So the first thing you need to do as an employee in any company right now, even every time, make it an habit for yourself that every single time is as a sense of self-check. How relevant am I in this company, and how far away am I to the core values or to the core of the business? And trust me, one of the ways to also ensure your growth in a particular company is your ability to answer those questions, is your ability to really think deeply and find answers to those questions. So aside from COVID, aside from working remotely, aside from the pandemic, a way for you to actually grow in a firm or in a company that you're working in is one, how you are able to identify your relevance in that business and how far away you are from the core of the business, how far away you are from what brings in the money. If you're far away from what brings in the money, you're not going to grow very quickly in that firm. Secondly, you're going to always be considered when it's time to cut costs or cut people, right? So please, very important, please and please, very, very important. The best thing you can do for yourself is to answer those two questions. Now, for people that are trying to get into this, you are an aspiring employee, you want to get into a business, you want to, what will make you favorable, right? Even in this very tight time. So I always talk about the 3 C's, right? The 3 C's, right? The 3 C's are contacts, credibility, and competence. The 3 C's: contact, credibility, and competence. So I will speak very quickly on each and every one of them. So you're trying to get into a business, you're trying to get into a job role, you're trying to get into a certain company. Do you have enough contacts, right? The more contacts you have in the marketplace, the more likely it is for you to find the job you want, right? The more people you know, and the more people who know you, the more likely it is for you, right, to get the kind of job you want. So join, if it's possible for you to, join clubs, join associations, join communities, online communities, LinkedIn communities, link up with people in that particular sector. In that part, in fact, send LinkedIn invites to people in that company, right? Maybe not your hiring manager or maybe not the HR person, but people in our company, just to sort of have some sense of familiarity, engage them, try to understand what they do, try to understand people also in that sector, in that space, right? Make sure that everyone you know is aware that you are available and you're looking for a job. Very important, right? Nothing is more important than your circle of contacts, right? The great majority of jobs are filled in the hidden market, okay? And that's the truth. So, of course, one of the reasons why, one of the things we're trying to do as Jobberman, for instance, is we're trying to democratize job in Nigeria, for instance, because what we have realized is that a lot of jobs are filled without people even knowing that they existed. So one way to get yourself out there, even though employers are also now beginning to embrace that, and because they also want diversity, and they have come to realize that when they open up and when they throw their job roles out there, they actually get more qualified people to interact with, right? But even in the midst of that, one of the things that will give you an edge over all the top vacant area that would apply to that particular job is your contact in that space. Secondly, credibility. Your reputation is important, right? Because the genetic makeup of your reputation. I mean, credibility is the genetic makeup of your reputation and your character, right? So your credibility is the most important single quality about you, in terms of getting recommendation, referrals from your contacts. So it's possible for you to have contacts and you are unable to get referrals from them. You must be credible. Now, how do you become credible? Of course, by being a man of your word, a lady of your word. Um, um, when you establish an engagement with somebody, ensure that you present yourself in a very credible way and credible manner. Your LinkedIn or your profile or whatever profile you have that you are interacting with or the other person is interacting with has a well-detailed, correct information about yourself, such that it can establish that credibility as a human being, right? So even if you have the contact, it is very, very important that every single engagement you have with people, you are always communicating credibility. You are always communicating credibility. If you don't know something about something, say you don't know something about it, and say, oh, you know what? Give me another 1 week or give me another 2 days. I will go and read about it and I will get back to you. It's rather than saying, uh, oh, I know it, and then you keep blabbing and blabbing and saying nonsense, right? So establish credibility is very, very important. And then the last C is competence, and that, right, is that is more competence, more of an analysis of how good you are, right? How good you are in what you say you do, and you can always show competence, either from your previous job. You can even show competence from your school, for instance. So one of the reasons why probably someone with a higher class of degree would tend to be favored, right, is because the employers just believe that for you to have gotten that certain class, you were competent enough in that space. But that does not mean that if you have a lower class of degree, that you're useless. No, no, no. There are other ways to show competence. There are other ways to show competence. But what is important is that wherever you are, you must be able to effectively demonstrate those three C's: your contact, your credibility, and your competence. I don't know if that answers your questions, Emmanuel.
Okay, yes. They answer my questions to a very large extent, and thank you very much for that. However, I would like to ask, in addition to the areas pointed out, I want to ask to say there are a number of core members, there are a number of job seekers who are already threatened by the COVID-19 episode to say, I've been looking for a job for 1 year, for 2 years, and I've not found a job. Given the current realities of more employees being laid off, what is the fate? What is my fate? What are my prospects? What are my chances of getting a job? So I would like for you to speak to that related to the three issues you just listed.
Okay, good. So as a core member, as a student, or as you're trying to get into the workspace. I think the easiest, and that is what I've seen work several times. The easiest is volunteering. Um, Look, because so if you ask yourself, right, you've searched for job in the past 1 year, so that means that you've not gotten any form of pay, right? So that means that it will not hurt you to volunteer for maybe another 3 months or for another 6 months and not get paid, right? And I have seen that work several times, even in government, right? I know of people right now that came into government as volunteers for something, right? And over the years, they have risen through the ranks, right? From volunteering, they became interns. From internship, they became full staff members. From full staff members, they grew, becoming, team leads in the company. So I think one way that I've seen that has worked if efficiently is volunteering. It will give you a leg into the business, like straight up. It will give you a leg into. Secondly, is your demonstration of intelligence wherever you are, right? In your different community, wherever you are. When people see that, look, when I communicate with this person, when I'm talking with this person, when I'm speaking with this person, there's always a huge sense of intelligence coming out from this person. You will always register yourself in their minds. And that links back into one of the three C's, which is your contact. So you have your contact, and you ensure that every single time that you interact with your contact, you come off as someone that is very intelligent, that knows what he or she is doing, right? And your ability to establish yourself, as a leader in that little space, right? While actively looking out. So An exercise that you can do for yourself is this. In a particular role, so let's say, for instance, you want to work with a particular firm, right? And you want to work with a firm in a particular role, right? And you're trying to get into that company. First thing you ask yourself is, what are the relevant skills in that role? So go on LinkedIn, search for the company on LinkedIn. Let's say they have a company account. I mean a LinkedIn company account, right? Then search for that particular role you are looking for in that company. Definitely, one person would be in that role, or will have done that before, right? Now, the next thing you do is check out the skill set of that person. Check out the achievement of that person, right? The different soft skills, the different core skills that the person, the different certifications that the person got if needed, right? Work towards them. And thank God, things are actually a little bit easier now compared to maybe like some 5 years ago. Maybe some 5 years ago, you need to have, say, for instance, 5 years of experience to be able to work in a certain role. But now it's beginning to employers are beginning to see that proficiency in a particular job, in a particular skill set, might not be directly connected to maybe number of years of experience. Number of years of experience is very important. Let's not kid ourselves. But 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 what I have come to realize in my own experience is that when there is an opportunity for a leg in into the company, right? Every employer would typically treat that new employee as like a fresh like a fresh person. Like, oh, you don't know much about how we work here. Your experience would slightly differ because we do these things a little bit different here. But what is important to that particular employer at that time is your ability to demonstrate the skill set, your proficiency in the skill set. So take time, go on Udemy, go on Coursera, take time, learn those things, do projects in them if possible, right? And what those things will give you would be a show of your competency, right? That will be a show of your competency. So imagine, if let's say, for instance, you're trying to get into a company and you have a first class degree. Great, good for you. But then you have another person with maybe a lower class degree, but has done 5 courses on some things in Coursera and has a certificate to show for it, and has done like 3 projects, maybe freelance projects, for instance, or pro bono projects in another thing that is very relevant to that particular role. As an employer, I will be more keen to speaking with the person with that little experience. Little we call it, but it is not, right? The fact that you have done some certain things in that is relevant to that job role will always put you ahead. So as a core member, as a university graduate, what you need to do to put yourself ahead, right, is just one, focus. Don't say, oh, I'm looking for a job, and then someone asks you, what job are you looking for, and then you say any job. That's a recipe for failure. So focus on what you want exactly, right? Create or get into the community that is relevant to that role that you are hiring or you are looking for. If it's not a role, maybe it's a company, right? Maybe you just want to work for a particular company. Check the role where they hire entry level people. Make that your starting point, right? Look for the relevant skill set to get into that particular role. Gain competency in that particular role. Take courses, learn soft skills, do projects that are relevant to that role. Know people in the community, or know people in that particular role, so that you can have contact, competency. And when you present that to any employer, trust me, they would listen to you. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much, Ore.
Yeah.
So we got a few questions from the community. We see that A number of persons have dropped some comments and questions. Someone is asking, all right, Oluwadusumi is asking to know what professional courses can you take to prospect as a data analyst? He or she also wants to know what relevant professional courses are relevant during this period. So, Mr. Aure, would you take those?
Hello?
Yes, you have two questions from a participant who wants to know what professional courses are relevant for someone who wants
to be a data analyst, right?
someone
Hello?
who
Hello, can you hear me? Is it from my side or is it from Emmanuel's? I
all
seem
right.
not to.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, I can hear you now. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen right now.
Okay.
Someone is asking a question around a data analyst. So as a prospective data analyst, what skills do you take up to stand a chance of becoming a data analyst? He also wants to know, all right, so there are two in one questions. He also wants to know what kind of courses or projects to take up this period where everyone is at home and there's a lot of time on your hands. So what kind of courses are relevant for you during this period? So those two questions from.
Okay, perfect. All right, yeah. So I think so. First of all, as a data analyst, one of the most important thing is your ability to be able to manipulate data, right? First off, I think you should be very proficient with data query tools. So your ability to properly query data using maybe MySQL or SQL, our ability to be able to query a SQL server, just a little bit of data management skill, right, would be required. Secondly, proficiency in Microsoft Excel. You cannot throw it away. What I've come to realize is this: a lot of people actually assume that they know Microsoft Excel until they take keen interest into Microsoft Excel and they realize that actually there is a lot you can do with Microsoft Excel. So sector, first off, is your ability to query data. You're maybe using Microsoft, using MySQL, a little bit of data management, right? But very, very important, proficiency in Microsoft Excel, proficiency in serious deep Microsoft Excel, and you can get some very cheap courses on Udemy, for instance, to be able to do that. And then maybe you can now move a little bit further into data visualization. One of such would be proficiency in Power BI.
Yes, Tableau and the likes.
Right? So you can, yeah, exactly. So you can get really proficient with all those data visualization too. Just pick one of them, right? You don't need to know everything, but pick one and be very proficient in it. And then it's now very easy for you to have. So now the next step for you now will be, how do you now showcase your skill set? Simple. Come up with some very intuitive projects, some very interesting dashboard. Say for instance, oh, you decided to do a dashboard to calculate personal account or personal finance, right? You work on that dashboard. It gives let's say for instance, a monthly or a weekly breakdown of your personal finance, right? And you do that very beautiful dashboard. You put it on LinkedIn as your project, right? What you're doing is you are showcasing your competence, right? And anytime or anywhere you go, for job interview, for instance, and they ask you, so what are the things that what are the things you've done in this particular space, even though you have not worked 1 year. You don't have 3 years of experience, but that can always stand for you as your experience. Do you understand? So, like, I will reiterate what I said again. First, get familiar with how to query data, get familiar with data administration tools, just basic data administration tools. Try to know Microsoft Excel deeply, like deeply. You can take courses on Coursera and Udemy to be able to get that. Then understand, pick one of the data visualization tools, Tableau, Zoho Analytics, Power BI, pick any of those things, get proficient in them, build projects in them, share those projects to your community. And yeah, there you are. You're ready to be a data analyst.
Yes, I mean, Mr. Ray, you couldn't have said it much better. I would just like to share an experience myself as a data analyst. So when I began my journey as a data analyst, the whole conversation around being a data analyst and data as the new currency was all over the place. But I took time to begin with understanding Microsoft Excel, and there's a whole world of learning you can derive from Microsoft Excel. Cleaning up data, functions and extended functions. You'll be surprised what you can achieve with Microsoft Excel. So as soon as you have acquired some level of proficiency with Microsoft Excel, which is available to you on YouTube and some other learning platforms like Udemy, you can then begin to learn simple queries using SQL and then querying MySQL server. So it's a progressive. One of the things you can also do without being asked for this project, I decided to, on my own, develop a dashboard for my team. You understand? So, like Mr. Aria said, it's important for you to learn to be proactive, develop projects. This period of the COVID-19, you can just develop a simple dashboard, a visualization story around what has happened, maybe in your community, with respect to the trend in cases rising, and that could form a substance for your competence when you want to pitch for your next job. So, like Mr. Ray said, it's important for you to begin small, learn simple tools like Excel that you can manage yourself, then scale upwards. All right, thank you very much for that, Mr. Ray. So I'll take one more question before you continue.
Okay.
And the question is from Precious. All right, this is a comment. He's saying he just wants to add that for those who are privileged to have jobs now, it is wise to deliver excellently on tasks and do much more. Of course, we all agree with that. So he says, try to extend from the regular expectations at your office. For example, his company, which is a US-based organization, percentage of those retained are people with proficiency in more than one company's product. That is true. So two things I take home from what it's important for you to develop relevant skills, but not just having relevant skills, ensure that they are relevant to the business of your employer. So for example, like Mr. Aria said, if you work in a logistics organization, it is a skill for you to have as a customer experience lady. It's a skill for you to have interaction and collaborative skills to say welcome visitors. But then as things have changed, you must develop competencies around the business interest of the way you work. So in the event of a downsizing exercise, your manager wants to say, does John, does Peter, does Titi still stay relevant to the interest of my organization? So it is important for you to understand both ends of the spectrum. That is, yes, acquire skills, but acquire skills that are also relevant to your employer. Now, before Mr. Ore continues, I'd like to also say this. If you work in an organization that, say for example, an insurance organization, and what you do is you sell insurance premium. Now, your ability to sell insurance premium is a skill in itself, but you may find yourself being relevant to that industry. So if you want to move from the insurance industry to say, let's say the telecoms, your skill with selling insurance premium may not be relevant, but your skill with being a salesman may be relevant in the telecom. So ensure that your skills can also serve a global audience. So I just thought to add that before we continue.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Ray Kapussi.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Precious, for that comment. That is actually very true. Your ability to show that you can you're not just one role type of person, but you are functional, in different areas and different aspects of the business. Your ability to show that you know how the business works and you can like tie yourself to more than one things in terms of relevance in that business would cement your job security in that particular place. So thanks so much, Precious. So I'm going to move forward a little bit and talk about most in-demand qualities. What are the most in-demand qualities employers are looking for in an employee, right? So, every employer has had a certain amount of experience with both good and bad employees. So for this reason, every employer has a pretty good idea of what they want, and I've sort of picked out like the most important 7 most in-demand qualities that an employer is looking for in an employee, whether you're already working in a company or you are hoping to get into that company. And trust me, whether qualitatively or quantitatively, an employer is able to measure these things, be it during an interview, questions just to be able to get these things from you. But these are the 7 important ones. Number 1, intelligence. Number 2, leadership ability. I'm going to list it, and then I will talk about each and every one of them one by one. So number 1, intelligence. Number 2, leadership ability. Number 3, integrity. Number 4, likability. Number 5, competence. Number 6, courage. Number 7, inner strength. Now, all of these things, trust me, during your conversation with an employer, probably in an interview room, or during your interaction with your line manager, if you're already working, they, one way or the other, measure each and every of these things. Very, very important. They measure each and every one of these things. And this is these are the things, if you're able to excel comfortably in all of these 7 things, you have sort of placed yourself in a better place. You have made yourself more relevant to whoever is looking at that period in time. So let's talk about intelligence, right? So in every study, it has been found out that fully 76% of the productivity and contribution of an employee will be determined by his or her level of intelligence. So 76% of whatever you are contributing to any company is determined by your intelligence, right? And what is intelligence? Simple. Intelligence is this sense, it's an ability to plan. It's the ability to organize, the ability to set priorities, to solve problems and get jobs done, right? Intelligence, you can also refer intelligence to be like your level of common sense and your practical ability to deal with day-to-day challenges of your job. Now, one key way to demonstrating your intelligence is to ask intelligence questions. Simple. Look, you don't need to show off you don't need to show off to say I'm an intelligent person, or you don't need to come and tell me that you are an intelligent person. But when you are engaging with me and you ask me intelligent, because it's only intelligent people that can ask intelligent questions, and that's the truth. And trust me, when you do that, your employees or your your employer or your potential employers, they take note of these things. And that is why a lot of times for people that have gone for interviews before, when they ask you, do you have any question for us? And then you say no question. I'll be like, okay, But what they're asking for, what they're looking for is, ask me a question. Let me even know how you think, right? And that is one great way to score points for yourself. So when you are properly prepared for that interview and you ask intelligence questions, what you're doing is you're scoring yourself high on the intelligence quotient, right, with the employer. Number two, leadership ability. Leadership is the willingness and desire to accept responsibility for results. It is the ability to take charge, to volunteer, and accept accountability, right? Be it in your current place of work, or maybe in different opportunities that you've been given. Yeah, and trust me, every aspect of our life has given us an opportunity to become a leader one way or the other. Every aspect of our life. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not a leader anywhere. Trust me, that every aspect of our life has presented to us an opportunity for us to become a leader, right? And like I defined, it's just the willingness to accept responsibility for results. So you don't necessarily need to be your guard itself. But when, even in your little commitments, you are ready to take responsibility for results, right? And how do you pick a leader? In conversations, I can converse with you during, if I'm having a one-on-one conversation with you in 30 minutes, I would actually know if you're a leader or not. How? The mark of a leader is that he or she does not make excuses. You demonstrate your willingness to be a leader in an organization by offering to take charge of achieving the company goals and committing yourself to performing at high levels. It's just that ability to be able to be committed and run things without excuses. It's very simple. And trust me, there are quantitative and qualitative ways to measure all of these things. So as an intending employee in the company or as a current employee, take note of these things because these are things that would help you score points with your employer. Number three is integrity, right? And trust me, I think it's that integrity is like the most important, really. Uh, from here, integrity begins by being true to yourself. It means that you are perfectly honest with yourself and and in your relationship with others. You're willing to admit your strength. You're willing to admit your weaknesses. And trust me, if for people that have attended interviews before, you would you would probably remember one way or the other where the interviewer had asked for your successes, for your failures, for your weaknesses, and for your strength. And what they are trying to measure is your integrity. That's what they're trying to measure. Your willingness to admit where you make mistakes in the past, especially, your ability to demonstrate loyalty, right? For instance, they say, oh, you're leaving this company and you're going to another company. Why are you leaving? Right? Right? Your loyalty to to the company where you're leaving. You never see anything negative about your previous employer, right? Or someone you have worked with before, right? So it's very, very important that you're able to demonstrate integrity at every single opportunity you're given, at every single interaction you're given. Number four is likability. Employers like people who are warm, people who are friendly, people who are easygoing, people that are cooperative with others. Yeah, a lot of people give this excuse. No, I'm an introvert. I don't talk much. So it doesn't matter. You don't necessarily need to be an extrovert to be likable, right? You can be an introvert and have a really good character that people want to associate with you, right? So be likable, be warm, be friendly. Doesn't mean that you are stupid. Doesn't mean that you throw yourself at people. No, but when you're warm and friendly and easygoing, an employer will know that okay, if this person can be this friendly and likable, then interacting with clients will be easier, right? And you're scoring points for yourself. And what that's one of the things you can do, you can demonstrate even in the interview room. Do you understand? Men and women with good personalities are invariably more popular and more effective at whatever they do. And because we know that teamwork is key to business success, right? So meaning that for you to function properly in a particular team, you have to be likable, and you must be able to properly communicate, how you've been able to do that one way or the other, right? Your ability to work as a team. And like I said, for people that have done interviews before, you would start to relate some of these things I'm saying in those interview questions, right? When they ask you, have you worked with a team before? What was your result? What did you do? How did you do it? What are they asking for? They're checking. Are you likable? Are you a team player? Are you a leader? Those are things they're looking out for. Number 5, competence. So competence is very important to your success. I've said it before. It's part of the 3 C's, right? It is really the foundation of everything that happens to you in your career. And in simple terms, competence is the ability to get the job done. And a show of competence can be, for instance, hey, I studied a 4-year course and I came up with a first class. I am competent. Or, okay, I didn't come up with a first class. Maybe I can, there's a particular course, I took this particular course and very difficult, but I was able to achieve A, B, C, and D. Or, oh, my final year project. Thank God, everybody does final year projects, irrespective of your class or degree, right? Oh, my final year project, I was able to do A, B, C, and D. I became out successful, and all that. Even so, now these are ways to even show competence, even if you have 0 years of experience, right? So at every single point in our lives, we have been presented an opportunity to be competent. Now, when we take those opportunities, they become our success stories in the interview room, right? So competence, very, very, very important. Is the ability to get the job done. Number 6, courage. This is the willingness to take risk. It also means the willingness to accept challenges, the willingness to take on it. Courage also means the willingness to speak up and say exactly what you think and feel in a difficult situation. Employers admire men and women who are not afraid to speak their mind. Very important. And you demonstrate this in a job interview when you are asked frank and direct questions about the company, the position, and the future that you love to do with that organization. Very important. Very, very important. Courage. Courage. Of course, it does not mean that you should not be, over, because it's very possible to go over and beyond on courage, and then it becomes very terrible. But your ability to be able to speak up and speak your mind and be very true to yourself. These are things measured in the interview room. These are things that will also pop up in your different experiences with different employers that you put into your CV, And then finally, inner strength. Inner strength means that you have the determination and ability to persevere. Inner strength means that you have the quality of persistence, right? You demonstrate inner strength when you remain calm, cool, and relaxed during a job interview, right? If you're calm, cool during the interview, it's a good indication that you will be calm and cool in inevitable crisis that occurs during the day-to-day operations of the company. And trust me, every single day of work comes with its different, situation and challenges. What an employer wants is someone that would be able to effectively handle that crisis. So above all, it is your character, which is the sum total of your positive qualities, that will have the greatest impact on whether you get a job that you want. Your job now is to continue to work on your character by practicing the behavior of top people at every opportunity. Yeah, so that is what I have for the most in-demand qualities. I don't know if we have maybe any contribution. Maybe Emmanuel, you want to jump in here?
Yes, this is, for me, this cream de la creme of the session. The 7 points listed, I've had to note them down myself, and I'll begin to develop skills and competencies along these lines. There are 2 questions we have for you before you proceed. The first one is, a participant, John, is asking to know what kind of tracking tools. All right, I'll just go back to his question and read it out for us. Okay, so it's asking, what are the available tracking products or software delivery apps that we have out there? So I want to guess it means that for businesses that deliver products or goods, are there tracking products or delivery software available? Before you respond, I would like to say that I've discovered that a lot of times there are almost one tool or software available for the genre or the field that we belong to. All it takes for us is to ask somebody within our community, or I mean, just go online and search around the area of work or the business you operate. You will find a tool that is relevant to you. Now, you'll be surprised also that simple tools like Excel and some of the product listed on Google Suites can provide you with tracking capabilities. So, for example, if you want to track your sales or track trends or track a particular segment of your market, to know those who patronize you or to understand those who are your core customers, some of these tools, Microsoft Excel, some of the Google products available would help you achieve tracking. So I hope that answered your question, John. If it doesn't, we'll be willing to learn from Mr. Aure also.
Yeah. So let me speak on that very quickly. So there are you can always adapt different tools to different things to solve your business problems, right? But then if let's pick logistics for instance, logistics as an example. Most times, what we have seen is that most logistics businesses tend to invest some money into their mobile app, right? Where probably you can, and this also ties into ride-hailing apps, the Uber, the GoCada, the OPay, right? So they invest some money into having their own app where you can place order, and then the Jumia app also, for instance, Jumia food app, where you can place orders and you can track delivery, you can track what is happening and all that. And most of the time, what delivery companies look into before investing into their software is pretty much, how is it, can they afford building a software, for instance? What's the ease of use? Does it have GPS tracking? How easy is it to download? Can users, how easy is it for users to interact with it? Does it have a reporting tool? Can it report things and all that? So let's say, for instance, you are a business and you're trying to come up with all of these things. Oh, how easy is it to integrate payments, and all that? So if you're trying to come up with this and you don't have the money you don't have the money to invest in in building a software for yourself, there are quite a number of open source tools that you can use. So I know of one, Zippykind. I think is actually very common with food delivery, right? Tend to help you manage end to end, between dispatching, delivery, and all that. Zippykind, Zippykind. You can, check it. You can also check out Mobi2Go, Mobi2Go. These are open source solutions that can help you with maybe your food delivery logistics business. In case you're not sure, probably if you can afford maybe creating an app, and all that. But of course, you also need to probably subscribe to be able to use those services. But aside that, right, there are other things that you can, get ready that will be needed for software tools that will be needed to help your day to day. First off, of course, proficiency in Microsoft Excel is also very, very important. That can help you track, for instance, your accounting, and also. So this is also very important. So proficiency in the common Microsoft Office tools, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Presentation, that's PowerPoint. That also is very, very important. But yeah, you can always do like a research. You can always research and check out open source tools that are very, very specific to your business. I don't know if that answers your question.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ore. I think you did justice to those questions. I'd like to request that can anyone list those softwares that we mentioned by Mr. Ore while we proceed in the comment section? Okay, so I have some questions for you, and I'd like to take you back a little bit. In the course of your presentation, you mentioned that volunteering is one way that prospective candidates get into choice employment, and we've seen that a lot where people volunteer for organizations or for projects, and that becomes an inroad into serving as an employer. But with the state of the COVID-19 experience and the fact that lots of times people are required to work from home and exercise social distancing, do you think that volunteering would remain an inroad into organizations, or do you think that inroad, that inlet into organizations will become obsolete? What do you think about that?
So it depends, right? It depends on the sector that you're operating. So let me give a very very perfect example. So in Doberman, we started a free skill set, a free soft skill training, which is still ongoing by the people can join in. So the plan for that soft skill training was, the initial plan was for us to have physical classes where people can we can gather people for a period of time and then train them on some certain selected soft skills, of course, for free. Then COVID came, but of course, our long-term goal was also to be able to digitize that, right? But our initial short-term plan, as at the beginning of the year, was to have some different events where people will come in, right? We had also planned that we were going to engage um, um, volunteers, like that would take some of those classes, because we expected that um, the rate of participation will be very high, and that will overwhelm everybody in now. So we're happy to bring in volunteers. Now this was at the beginning of the year. Then COVID came, and we had to change our approach. Then we decided to go into using Zoom with for those classes. So we have had different Zoom classes scheduled, Telegram classes scheduled. And even at that, all our volunteers were still relevant, right? So volunteering would not go away, right? I guess what would simply change would be the way things will be done, right? The way we get things done in the way we get operations done in different companies. But volunteering as an inroad would not go away. It will not go away. That I am very, very sure of.
All right, thank you very much. We have a few questions for you as we go to the last session of this discussion. I'll simply just share my screen with us. Okay. So someone is asking, his name is Olushola. Olushola wants to know, okay, the fact that social media has been said to be the CV. He wants to know how true this claim is. He also wants to know how we can leverage his social media to improve his skills and get opportunities. Thirdly, okay, right. So he wants to know two things. The fact that social media is considered the new CV. How can he position his social media channels to speak to what competencies he has and what he can do? Also, he wants to know how he can expand the social media channels to improve his skills.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Olushola. Interesting thing is you have actually touched points on the final thing I wanted to share, which would be reasons why employers will hire you. I actually have like some 7 reasons here that employers will hire you. Probably I'll just go into that and then answer the question. So the first, so I said I have 7. So I will start from number 2, which is your online personal brand. Of course, the first one I have here is a great resume. But let me start with your online personal brand because it connects to what Olushola asked. So reasons why employers will hire you. Number one, or number two in this case, will be your online personal brand. So personal branding, is pretty much social media, networking and all, right? So social media networking has quickly become the preferred method of communication, thanks to COVID. Even before that, it's still like the leading method of communication. So you will be found online by your potential new employer, right? So what you can do is this. So whether you like it or not, look, your employer will check you out. Your employer will check your Facebook post. Your employer will check your Twitter post. Your employer will check your LinkedIn post, right? Um, so if you tailor what information you have available, right, on your social media handles, for instance, right, you can turn your social media into a positive for you. You can actually use your social media platforms and handles to score points for yourself, right? If, for instance, all the details and information about you, the things that you tweet, the things that you talk about, are tailored to the kind of role you are looking for, you scored a good point for yourself, right? Starting from your bio, for instance, in on Twitter, your bio on Twitter should, it could be empty. For me, I pretty much just decided that it's empty. I think before, maybe some few months ago, I had a couple of things in there, right? But yeah, if you're looking for job or something, you can put in those things: data analysis, business analysis, project manager, all those kind of things. Put it in there. Put it in your bio. Your short introduction on LinkedIn, for instance, let it be concrete. Let it be tailored into what you're looking for, right? Make sure your public profiles are employee friendly and up to date. Establish yourself as an authority online, right? You can start a blog. You can moderate a forum, like for instance, what Emmanuel is doing right now. Moderate a forum. Being active on LinkedIn group, for instance, very important, right? You can get recommendations on your profile. People can always like say, yeah, thumbs up. I know this guy. I can vouch for him. He has done this before. We have worked together before. You can ask for recommendation on LinkedIn, right? So social media and online branding, will take you higher, would give you better leverage, right? So yeah, Shola, that's very important. Your online brand would actually would do you a great good if it is properly tailored and well structured. So number two here would be a great resume. So sometimes an average candidate can be hired thanks to a brilliant resume. you know, your resume is your first impression. You can only get one shot at this, right? So, and it is very, very important that you have a really good resume. Now, one mistake that I've seen that a lot of people make times and times over is that they have one resume for all of the jobs or for all the different job roles. So let's say, for instance, you have interest in like 4 job roles, right? Then I see people have the same CV for those 4 job roles. That does not work, guys. What works is you have CVs tailored to the different roles. So first thing is do a research, understand the kind of CV that works out in a particular industry, right? If you want to have an idea of how that is done, go search online, search for CV samples. And if you don't know how it can be structured, go to LinkedIn and see how people's profiles are structured. What I've come to realize is that most people's profiles are most people's LinkedIn profile is actually like a mirror of their CV, right? So take a look, research, understand what is relevant in the industry, your focus industry, and tailor your CV in that direction. Very, very important. You cannot have a one size fits all resume. That's not going to work. So number three, of course, very important, the right skill and experience. So maybe for someone that is coming in newly, I would say the right skills. For someone that is trying to change role or trying to move higher or trying to switch companies experience, right? So in this economy, you will struggle to find someone willing to hire a candidate that needs training, and that's the truth. Or maybe a candidate that, even if the candidate needs training, the employer would rather train a candidate that would require less training compared to every other person, right? So train yourself, invest in yourself, right? So get the right skills, know the right skills for your particular job role, and get those skills. Yeah, it can take some time, maybe some 3 months on Coursera or LinkedIn or whatever it is, or maybe you actually need to like write some certifications, but take them, do those things. They would give you relevance. Number 4, stay in power with the business. Very important. This is crucial. As employers want people that stay in their company and work their way up the corporate ladder. This makes them useful, and useful means hardworking. Employers will look for people who have multi-dimensional personalities, meaning that they can work in different departments, they can work in different projects, or even different locations, right? So your longevity with a business and personal characteristics will be a deciding factor on your staying power in the business. An employer does not want to hire someone that work with them for 3 months and then leave, right? So you need to be sure. So for instance, of course, what determines your staying power would be maybe the company culture. So before you get into a company, don't, because you are desperate, right? Just say, anything works, anything goes. Research and ask yourself, can I survive in this particular company's culture? Because the employer also wants to be sure that when I hire you, you're going to stay. You are here for the long run, right? That is very important. So you, as an employee trying to get into the business, you should also make up your mind to have staying power in that business. Number 5, you get on with people. This is significant, right? Because the employer wants you to enjoy your time working with them. You spend most of if you get a job, you spend most of your time at your workplace. Well, I want to believe that maybe most of the people on this call are residents in Lagos, right? And as Lagosians, we are most likely found in 3 places: our homes, our workplace, and traffic, right? We spend less times at home. We spend most of our time in traffic, and then we spend the second most time at our workplace, which makes our workplace really, really important and significant. So you need to be able to get along with people. So, and as an employer, if I am giving you, if I'm giving you a role in my company, I want to be sure that you're not going to be the one that will be the office fighter, or the one that will always have issues with every single person, even though you are the most competent, right? I would not want to have that headache. So you must be able to demonstrate your ability to get along with people as much as possible. Number 6, you can bring home the beacon. What does that mean? It's more or less, the classic, what is the need for me, right? So it's a case where you either make money or you save money for the company. And this is one thing we need to get at the back of our mind as employers or as employees in a business. Any manager you're working with, anybody you're working with, has one thing or 2 things. One, they either have a budget to increase sales, or they have a budget to reduce cost. It's one of those 2 things. Who check? It's either whatever work they are doing is tied towards increasing sales, or it is tied towards reducing cost. So you being able to do that, right, would make you relevant. If whatever you're doing, and that ties into what I said initially about relevance in the company, right? That's one way to measure your how far away you are from the core of the business, because the core of your business is divided into 2 things. It's either the business is focused on making sales, or your business unit is focused on reducing costs. So you should be able to find that balance and know exactly where you fall and how you're going to work effectively to get that done. If you're able to figure that out, you are going to be your employer's favorite. And then finally, positive attitude and enthusiasm. Very important. Very, very, very important. Right? Positive attitude and enthusiasm. In a particular interview, you are able to lift the mood of the room. You get into the room and then even when everybody's looking gloomy and tired, you're able to bring life. Of course, not necessarily, you don't need to be the clown or the jester or the comedian, but there are ways you can lift people's spirits just by having having a positive attitude and you are enthusiastic, about things. Yeah. So that's that about what the employer is looking for, what an employer what would encourage an employer to hire you as an individual.
It's much more than what you bargained for. And I think you've addressed the last questions sufficiently. So time is fast spent. I'd like to take a few questions before we leave. Joshua Agbamu sent me a private message to ask that he wants to know how he can join the soft skills training organized by Jobberman. That's what you mentioned earlier. All right.
Okay. All right. So I was just give me a minute. I'm going to look for the link and send to you.
All right. So while we expect the link, Morofonlu is also asking that or suggesting that even after acquiring professional skills and certifications, I still don't feel complete and ready for the next phase of work. What is the way forward? So he or she wants to know what is important for her or him to acquire in addition to professional skills and qualifications, because he or she does not still feel complete or competent after acquiring those, professional skills and exposure.
Okay. All right. Sorry. So I just sent the link to the soft skill training. So while I answer the last question, look, you need to be able to sell yourself, and that is what will set you apart. Your ability to sell yourself will set you apart from people. I understand what you're saying around not feeling complete or not feeling competent or not, that, oh, I've only taken some certain trainings. I am not sure if I can demonstrate or if I can work effectively here. But you need to be able to sell yourself well, right? Look, the next thing after going to school is demonstrating what you have learned. That's the next thing. There's no other space in between, right? There's no other space in between. So the next thing for you, if you're taking courses, if you're taking certification, the next thing is for you to start to use that certification. So go all out, right? Put yourself out there. There's no middle thing you need to do anymore. Just put yourself out there. Put yourself out there. Follow those things that I've listed, put yourself out there. And the sky is the limit. Trust me, it can be very scary, and I understand, especially when you're, if you're coming newly into something, or let's say, for instance, you're changing roles or you're changing career. It can be very scary. Like, you just always have that sense of inadequacy. But you build competence or you build confidence out of your experiences. And the only way you have experience is when you put yourself out there and you take opportunities. Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question.
All right. Well, gradually coming to the end of this session, and thank you so much for all your efforts to, expose and enlighten us. I have a few questions sent to me. I'll just see how we can organize them before leaving. But I would also want to know, as part of the discussions, can you speak a bit to collaborative tools? Because this period of the COVID-19 has exposed us to the need to stay, in communication with colleagues and teams and members of our units. So a lot of times we take that for granted because at every point in time, we get to see ourselves at, sorry, please mute your mic, Faith. All right, thank you. So we take for granted the fact that we walk into our offices and we can see ourselves. Can you speak a bit to how to sustain collaboration within this period? Because I've realized that it is a skill for you to be relevant and visible. I mean, it's one thing to work very hard, it's one thing to keep doing your job, it's another thing to have some visibility. So do you mind speaking to that in a minute or two while we take some other questions? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Sure. So there are, of course, there are a lot of business operations that that have started to employ some of these different collaborative tools. I think I will just mention quite a few. So, for instance, for cloud, for file storage, you see a lot of people using Dropbox, Google Drive, for data storage instead of the physical file that they have in the offices. Then you see tools for collaborating documentation, reporting, and presentation. You see them use tools like Microsoft Office 360, the Google G Suite, or the Adobe Cloud for collaboration and documentation. And then you see people use tools like Miro, Mural, Google Jamboard for creative process collaboration. Then probably someone that is working on projects or client management, for instance, you see them use tools like Asana, Monograph, Deltec, Newformer, for product and client management. Then if you are trying to manage team communication through messaging, for instance, of course, the popular one, Slack. You can use Google Hangouts, Microsoft Teams, collaborative tools for video conferencing, the very popular one, Zoom. You can use GoToMeeting. You can use Google Meet. Even I think WhatsApp just increased their participant count also on their video calls. So yeah, you can do that. Then probably for knowledge management for probably a very big firm, for instance, you can use tools like Confluence, tools like Bloomfire, tools like Google. The truth is, there are lots and lots and lots of tools. But what is important is this: because of the current situation, you don't necessarily need a certification to be able to use any of these tools, right? You just need to be familiar with them. That's all. You don't need like a manual on how to use Slack or a manual on how to use Google Hangouts, right? You don't need a manual on how to use Office, Google Docs or Google Sheet, right? But your ability to be able to pick it up very quickly and just get familiar with the environment, that's what will go a long way, really. But yeah, companies are really beginning to adopt some of these collaborative tools just to ensure that there's business continuity.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ramin. So we've got lots of information for us to take home and develop our careers with. As we come to the end of this session, I'd like to request two people to enable their mics to give a 1-minute summary of what they've learned from this session. All right, you can just indicate in the chat session if you are willing to speak. I would give you the opportunity to speak. We just want a young man and lady to make comments around what you've learned from this session before we finally take the closing remark from Mr. Ore. All right, so I'm looking forward to hearing from you in the comment section. Anyone? In the meantime, if you need to reach out to our guest facilitator, you can send me an email at me@emmanuelolujobi.com. Feel free to also connect with him at Ore Boboye on LinkedIn, on Twitter. I'm sure he'll be willing to connect with you also. So anyone? By way of summary, what's something you've learned from this session? Consider that this is a community discussion session, so we expect feedbacks and comments from you also. All right? So we'll give 10 seconds to hear from us. Anyone who has a comment to make, just please indicate in the comment section. I'll give you the opportunity, preferably a young lady and a man. And then we'll take the closing remarks. Okay, so I'd also like to bring to our attention that, yes, so this is a learning series that we hold periodically. The next of this will come in the next 2 weeks. We hope for us to stay tuned to join us. All right, I have an indication from David. David would like to drop some comments. So David, please enable your mic, and in just 1 minute, let us know some bullet take-homes you've gotten from this session, and we'll give you the opportunity to share your thoughts. All right, David.
All right, good evening, everyone. I really want to appreciate the conductor. Sorry, I've forgotten his name. Please, can you remind me? The jobber man.
Whose name, please?
The jobber man.
Okay.
Our facilitator, yeah.
Oluwa Boboye.
Okay, Oluwa. Sorry. Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. I think one key take home for me is the part of confidence. I remember someone asked a question about after taking all these online courses, and we find these ourselves that we can't actually keep up to all these things. It feels like he's not competent enough to do it. So I really think it's one key thing, and I think confidence is very key, and it starts from just picking up challenges. I don't know if I'm allowed to share my own experience as well. A couple of years back, I was in this shoot.
All right, you have just 1 minute to share your experience, if you don't mind.
I was just filling interviews and all that because I was not confident in myself. But it took an employability training like this, to actually challenge me and become better. So I really think it's very key, just like Orelua said, that we need to build our confidence over time. So I really want to appreciate him for enlightening us more on the collaborative tools and how we can actually use them to make our business more effective and efficient. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. And good job. Thank you.
All right, thank you for those comments, David. We appreciate them and we've noted them. So Olushola would like to drop some comments. Can you just speak up, Olushola? All right, are you there, Olushola? We're waiting to hear from you. All right, in the absence of Olushola and any other person, I would like to just go through a few take-home from this conversation. Now, I want to say also that this is our contribution to knowledge acquisition. This is our contribution to developing your career, and as such, we're not just doing this to get people together. We're doing this to impact our society. I have a regular 9 to 5, but I think as a way to give back to our society, as a way to keep developing ourselves, this kind of engagement should keep happening, where we speak to each other, we inspire ourselves, and we learn from industry experts. So today we've learned so much about employability post-COVID-19, remaining competent and remaining relevant in your job. I mean, so that you don't become the responsible person when there's a need for a layoff. But beyond just being the need to stay relevant and not get laid off, there is the bigger need to be very highly skilled, to be very relevant, to be indispensable. So the more you develop yourself, the more you keep honing your skills, the more you keep enriching yourself on your job and off your job, the more you feel confident and you open doorway of other opportunities for you. So we've learned about the 7 skills that you must have as an employer or as a job seeker. The fact that intelligence, leadership ability, integrity, likability, competence, which is the ability to get the job done. Of course, courage and inner strength are very key to growing on your career. And of course, we've also learned that there's some reasons why an employer would like to hire you, and amongst them are having a great resume, developing your online personal brand, yes, developing the right skills, of course, having great positive power with staying power with the business. So there are people who want to just stay 3 months and move on to the next job just to grow in their career. But it's important for you to have a track record of loyalty, which does not always mean that you have to take 10 years on a job, but it means that you are committed to the job at every given point in time. And you're not just looking for the next opportunity to move to your next job to grow your career. So there's a whole lot we've learned today, and I believe that what is important is consistency and the ability to take these things back to ponder on these things and pick up some very relevant information and make them personal to you. So when we come to the end of this session, I'd like to hear from Mr. Ore in his closing remark. If you are available to enable your video, we appreciate to see you. But if not, we'll just listen to you while we get your closing remark in 3 to 5 minutes. Yes, Mr. Ore.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, I'm unable to enable my camera because of the internet bandwidth.
Right.
Yeah. So sorry, but yeah, I want to say a big thank you to everyone that took our time to be a part of this. I hope that I've been able to inform you and encourage you in a certain way to be a better person or to be a better version of yourself. I think I will just close this by saying that having all of the hard skills and the important skills is also important that you take out time to build your soft skills. So soft skills here, I mean, personal effectiveness and time management, soft skills around business etiquette and workplace ethics, effective communication, presentation and storytelling, emotional intelligence and teamwork, negotiation skills, critical thinking skills, problem solving skills. These are soft skills that no one will teach you in schools, but you need to seek out time to actually learn them. And I think all of what I've listed is also covered in the Joberman soft skill training that I shared with you. It's free, so you guys can sign up and be a part of it. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone once again. Thank you, Emmanuel, for inviting me. For me, it's part of my mantra, because it's possible for you to just to get lost in corporate world, but as much as possible, opportunity impact any form of community, and I have the time and schedule for it. I always try to be available. So thank you so much, Emmanuel, for this opportunity. I really cherish it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orel. We're very grateful.
Yeah.
All right. Hello. We last few statements of yours after. All right. I want to say thank you to everyone who has been a part of this. Who has joined. Thank you so much. So see you in the next 2 weeks. We'll be having a continuation and a powerful discussion the next 2 Saturdays from today. Thank you all. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Emmanuel Olujobi, on LinkedIn at Emmanuel Olujobi. Send me an email at me@emmanuelolujobi.com. We'll be willing to keep engaging. Thank you. Do ensure to keep staying safe and abide by social distance regulations. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.